Aloha, beautiful, golden, galactic, celestial, cosmic family in this holographic planet of creation, co-creation, collaboration. We Bliss here doing a little LoveStream drop-in, sharing some of the miraculous codices that are coming in through this equinox window. And that's why we have a huge smile on our face and in Wee's heart, because our human spirit is unlocking from the fabric of the physical body itself. And so we're super stoked to drop in and share some of these codes. So if you think this love stream is going to be inspiring, please share it. That's called gifting. There's like a little share button right along there, so you can share live right now if you're inspired. We love doing these love streams, and this one is filled with so much, oh my gosh, the energy of it. Okay. So, who found this equinox window to be like the most potent equinox window ever? Oh my gosh. Energetically, we really felt this one in the fabric of our physical bodies itself. And that's why I'm so stoked about this love stream and the transmissions that are coming through right now, that we've had to really dive deep within ourselves to find the articulation to share with our incredible human family that is going through the veils. So, a few things that were coming through about this love stream today was, one of the things the guidance was saying is that these transmissions that we share are not transmissions of the mind. So some of Lee's closest friends say, sometimes I think I'm stupid because I don't get what you're saying. And I say, we're not supposed to get what these transmissions are saying. They are energetic transmissions in the space between the words. And the actual words are going into the codices within our mitochondria to unlock us from two-strand DNA. Because the two-strand DNA that is operating the human avatar exists outside of the mitochondria. The mitochondria itself is an intelligent life power that is held within us that we are here to unlock. And it has the cosmic codices of the original divine structures themselves. So there's a lot of different pieces we could weave and share in this transmission today. If you think it's inspiring, press that little share button right now so we have this out live, because we can see and feel the clarity and the precision of the articulation that is coming in for the ascending family on the earth. Now, some people will say the ascending family is like, language that is it's like no one's ascending, and that's hierarchical language and so on. No, it's not. Different people take different classes at university. So some of our human family has been in ascension school and have been doing the inner work to collapse the polarities, to do the shadow work, to alchemize the lower chakras, to unify the chakras in the body, to turn on these light ships. We call this Flight Lessons 101. So, one of the things that we have been exploring inside of the cosmic field is this capping out, this maxing out for the spiritual family, the spiritual consciousness inside of the physical body. And we've been asking the guidance what this is about. So in October, we brought through these transmissions. They were called the princess lines. And we put a little link for a YouTube love stream that we did recently to share more about the princess lines for anyone who is interested in learning a little bit more about that. But the princess lines decoded the metaverse. They decoded the Metatronic blueprint, which caps the consciousness out at 8th wave consciousness, not 9th wave unity. So what that's really about is that the consciousness has to get beyond the Metatronic blueprint, the 64 codons in the DNA. That's what these transmissions do. The transmissions take us back to 0 point by nullifying the 64 codon consciousness that is bound to two-strand DNA. It's bound to gravity and time. This is all programmed in the genetics if one knows how to read the code, which is why Richard Rudd decoded the gene keys in such a way that many of us could go even more deeply into what is in the space between the words of the codes that hold the physical, fictional fiction reality that is in place that most of us have been a part of. So in the 60th gene, it says it is held in the depth of our DNA. What is beyond two-strand DNA, what is beyond gravity, and what is beyond time. And that is what is coming through now. So we are here to share with our human family some of the codes for those who it is relevant to. These codes are not relevant to everyone on the planet. Most people on the planet are still existing in their 3D life. And will they continue on for thousands of years in linear time? Who knows? The thing is, when we share these codes, where two or more gather, that is all it takes to share the codes. Where two or more gather, when we bring through these transmissions and we share these codes, they transfigure all DNA, because all DNA is connected non-locally, beyond gravity, beyond time. There is a supra-intelligent consciousness informing the field. So what we will say in this transmission that we are experiencing inside in the last few miracle days, because we have been playing with WePod, who has been supporting me in these transmissions for many miracles in time. And we have been playing with the concepts and the notion of money and the bondage to that slave system. So this is why in the middle of February, we were guided to stop doing online retreats and inviting an exchange. We were invited to go deeper inside we's own mitochondria to unlock cosmic DNA. Cosmic DNA creates magnetic fields of resonance that draw towards it supra-intelligence source that organizes the adamantine particles of creation in such a way to create completely new external resources and creations, realities. So we have to go deeper than the two-strand DNA, which is where most of human consciousness is accessing. For people that we see on the planet that have done superhuman things, that have broken records without using steroids and all that stuff, that have actually surpassed what we thought is possible. How have they done that? Because they have accessed within and unlocked the mitochondrial DNA. So there is a film called, I think it's called Solo Climb or Solo Climber, and I don't remember the guy's name, but he free climbed El Capitan in Yosemite. And what he did was clearly beyond a human operating inside of two-strand DNA. This love stream is inspiring. Please share it. That's called gifting. There's a little share right there. And also, I have included a lot of links. Free Solo. Thank you, Lisa Ray. Yeah, the movie Free Solo. So if you watch that documentary about this man who free climbed El Capitan, this massive rock face, granite rock face with no ropes, he was accessing his mitochondrial DNA. And what the guidance is calling the mitochondrial DNA is literally like the source DNA, the God particle that science speaks about. This would be like the God particle DNA, and it's held inside of each one of us. So step by meticulous step, these transmissions have taken We Pod and are taking We Collective in such a way that allows we once again to access our mitochondrial DNA. Once again, this is why we Bliss were guided in the middle of February to stop doing online retreats and fighting exchanges, to go deeper inside, to access our superpowers, to not recycle inside the same systems, different day. Because all of the economic systems, all of the belief systems that humans have operated inside of for millennium are systems that devalue kindness, that devalue sharing and caring. We have existed inside of systems that are pyramidal, that are patriarchal, that serve selfishness and greed. And humanity is waking up. So as we do, one of the things that all the light workers come up against is how do we transcend money itself? In the middle of February, the guidance said we have to go deeper into the mitochondrial DNA itself. This is the grail that is spoken of. The grail takes us beyond where we thought we first originated from. This life, this planet, these bodies, these fictional fictions we have accepted as truth. The mitochondrial DNA takes us to source. We Bliss have had many experiences moving in and out of time and space, and it's had something to do with We's natal birth chart. Sun and moon together, born exactly at the time of the new moon, no sun to reflect the chart. It has allowed We's consciousness to move in and out of time and space, to source information in such a way that we can share it and articulate it in time, gravity, and space. And so one of the things that has been happening in the last few miracle days, as the pod, it's very warm here, so I'm just gonna undo my jacket. So the pod is learning to unlock themselves from the clinging of the consciousness to the blueprint itself. That clinging is that sense of survival. It is the depth of the fear that is programmed within the fabric of the form itself. And so the pod has been going through leaps and bounds by setting up GoFundMes and making new kinds of contributions to the transmission to assist themselves to chase the moneylender out of the church. One of the experiences that I shared with the pod that We Bliss had in 2015, we were traveling all over the planet and we were doing the grid work, and we were praying with water, working with the grids and ley lines, guided by the realms of the seen and unseen. And so as we were traversing the grids, a moment came when we were required to put out a large expenditure to facilitate a specific grid assignment. And we were in such resistance to using the money in Wee's bank account. We were terrified because it was like this large sum that made we feel very vulnerable to go into and to access within me what was inert. That's what it did. So as I was taking the money to a money changer to take it through a currency exchange, I allowed all this fear to rise up inside of me, to be curious, to observe what was happening inside of me. Why was there so much fear coming up around money? And so I allowed myself to cry tears, and just like this massive fear was coming up, and my nose was running. I was just like letting everything run out of my form, crying, observing. And when I got to the money changer, I asked the guidance, what is happening? And if this love stream is inspiring, please share it. That's called gifting, because this helps unlock our spiritual family from this place where the spiritual family is still getting trapped. So, there. Okay. So when I asked the guidance why all this fear was coming up, being expressed through tears, like sheer terror, to take this money and use it on this grid assignment, I heard these words: chase the money lenders out of your church. The famous words. The story of Yeshua flipping the tables of the money lenders in the temple. And what the guidance was saying to me then, the guidance was helping me to understand that any aspect of fear that I held within myself connected to my ego. My ego is connected to the actual structures of the time, gravity, space continuum of the fictional fiction itself. And so the guidance was helping me to see that how deep the belief of money gave me a false sense of security, of safety. And in that miracle coordinate, when the guidance said, chase the money lenders out of your church forever, I could see that what I was being guided to do was release fear, release my clinging to my personality, to my ego that was bound to the system in such a way that defines what makes me safe. That is how deeply programmed and entrenched money and economics and middlemen and middle systems between us and the full embodied expression of our pure source consciousness in form is. So the guidance said, we promise you, if you take this leap, you will be rewarded exponentially. 2 months later, my little tiny house sold for way more than the asking price. There was a bidding war on the house amongst 8 couples. So the numbers that came in on the sale of this house were so cosmic that it was confirmation that I had released, I had accessed my mitochondrial DNA from inside, my superpowers. Because the guidance is saying that's where our superpowers reside. And Western science is not talking about mitochondrial DNA. So the rewards that came were the rewards that allowed me to do my grid work for many years on the planet. Because I took the cosmic leap to chase the fear, to release the beliefs of what was giving me security. I took the cosmic leap. Hi, Holly. If this love stream is inspiring, please share it. That's called gifting with that little share button. I took the cosmic leap. That's what I've done again in the middle of February by saying to the universe, I don't want to do online retreats and ask for an exchange anymore. It is limiting my spiritual capacity to share what is coming through we. What is coming through we is meant to be open sourced, and if it is supportive of the consciousness in some way, the consciousness supports it back. That is the truth of creation. And money interferes with that truth in every way. Money does not, in our current systems, the way the systems are set up, money is not supporting that which is beneficial to all life. Money supports the ego and the greed on a mass scale. It supports the self-serving consciousness. So many of us are holding the codices within us to make the shift inside of ourselves, to shift the way that financial systems operate, such that there is resonance in how these systems in time support that which supports life itself. And that which supports life itself is the rising of the feminine, the rising of the goddess that is rising within us all, that lives and exists in equality and beauty and grace and balance and sharing and caring for the well-being of something greater than herself. That is the natural nature of the feminine, and it resides within us all. So let us chase the money lenders out of our church. Let us chase these egoic reflections out of us that continue to serve the small picture and continue to serve the small self. That's why since January we've been calling forth the stone soup, that this transition is occurring within us because it has to occur within us first. To let go of clinging to who we think we are. To recognize that who we think we are is an overt strategy of the ego to hold us back from taking cosmic leaps of trust and faith, to know that when we take these cosmic leaps together to transform how we interact together, how we live together, how we celebrate together, how we share together, how we support each other, and how we support life together. Let us take these cosmic leaps, and I guarantee the super abundance is waiting. Our future selves are right here supporting us to take these cosmic leaps. When these transmissions, when the vision of the living library was first downloaded to me in 2013, and the guidance said we's role on the planet was to restore the pillars to the cosmic Akash, we would now say that is the unlocking of the mitochondrial DNA. The guidance said we's superabundance would come through we's word, and that it would be supported by millions of $1 donations, because what this transmission gifts to all life on a planet called Earth is the step by meticulous step process of how to simply unlock ourselves from the fabric, the bondage of what has been woven into the fabric of our physical structure itself. This is what has been downloaded in the last few miraculous days. This love stream is inspiring. Please share it. That's called gifting. So as we shared many miracles in time, Yogananda and Babaji have been very close guides for we for many miracle coordinate years. And it was Yogananda that gave we's name in October of 2015 in Encinitas, just outside his self-realization center. The name Unity Grace. He said it will resonate with you for 3 days and no longer. You will change it on the 7th of April 2016 in Victoria, British Columbia. We'll tell you why then. You will change it then legally with a purpose to transform all human DNA. So Yogananda has really been always present with we, and since February on these princess lines that we have been stewarding for all consciousness over these massive rose quartz crystal beds. Yogananda has been embodying with me. And probably about 10 miracle days ago, Yogananda came right into me. About 3 miracle days ago, through a series of transmissions and connections with specific people who hold the Grail codes, who have the capacity to access them, to liberate all life from the bondage of the dualistic ego and the fictional fiction that the dualistic ego has created in physicality. That's what we are unlocking now. So a few miracle days ago, we started having these experiences with Yogananda inside of we. And we were experiencing we self like a translucent. We're sharing these codes to share them with all of we, especially the light worker community that has had a sense of being capped out at the level of money, economics, that, and this physical ceiling of this physical fictional fiction. So Yogananda came to we, and suddenly we were just resting in the garden, and we were experiencing light inside of we self, and we were experiencing we self as though we were inside an embryo. So just like how when we see an embryo photographed, It's very translucent. It's so beautiful and translucent, and you can see all the little capillaries and veins. And we were inside that aspect of we structure, and it was flooding with this clear light, translucency. And translucency is the highest frequency of the 59th gene. The 59th gene partners with the 55th gene. And the 55th gene holds all the codes for the new creations. And we say we're taking we beyond all creations in the metaverse and the two-strand DNA. So we were experiencing we self as though we were inside we self, like that translucent embryo. And the guidance was reorienting, reorganizing every single capillary in we's form, and showing we that it matters in matter how each and every capillary is formed. And we were being restructured from the inside out back to the original divine form of the divine human. And the guidance was showing we this most significant piece to share with all of we. The guidance showed we how the fabric of the fictional fiction that these avatars were born into and are physically woven into, the structure of time and gravity that connects us to this falling fictional fiction empire is woven in to the structure of these physical forms. And this is why the light worker community capped out, because they didn't get yet into the depth of the mitochondria in the cells. And when we get into the depth of the mitochondria by releasing fear and letting go of all false sense of security, by testing ourselves, by facing our fears with an open heart and leaping again and again and again into what is called love, which is actually neutrality. Love as neutrality is the collapsing of the polarities within us. It is our capacity to hold coherence, which is why recently we did a love stream. I think it's in the description box. I'll double check, it might not be. But the love stream was called All the World is a Stage and Coherence is Our Superpower. So coherence, neutrality is love. That is our capacity to collapse the polarities within us. These are the grail codes that unlock the superabundance and allow us access back into the mitochondria, where our superpowers are held. And that's what the guidance was doing. It was restructuring every capillary, and it was dissolving within we's physical form the bondage of the weaving of the structure of time and gravity, of the fabric of the fictional fiction from which we were born. And we were eyes closed, witnessing it happen. So we are sharing these codes with our entire global family. So for those who are studying in the Ascension schools are here for Flight Lessons 101 and liberation of the spirit from the fabric of this time gravity continuum. These are the most relevant codes of superabundance to come, and we invite all of we to go into meditation, to go into rest, to guide and direct the spirit, to honor the polarities from the place of coherence, which unlocks the singularity and takes us in to the original codex, point source origin, the origin of our original form before it was inseminated by a patriarchal virus, which then fragmented the original form. We are sharing these codices for contemplation, for meditation, for inquiry and inspiration within the self, for each individual being to unlock the superabundance within the self and forevermore chase the middleman, the perception, out of our physical form in the belief that there is something in between us that we need to give our power or authority over to, that resides between us and Source. We love we thank we. If this love stream is inspiring, please share it. That's called gifting. We Beautiful Pod created this amazing GoFund, which of course is unlocking super abundance for the pod and all of we, because it's all just step-by-step opportunities to show the consciousness the way out of being bound by the fear of clinging to something that we believe provides security in a transfigurative process of awakening. So chase the moneylenders out. In the description box, there's lots of links to previous love streams we've been sharing. There is the link if you're inspired to join the GoFund. There's other ways to support these transmissions by joining the YouTube page, which I put in the description box, by watching the other love streams, by sharing them with your friends and family. So I put lots of links for other love streams here. And yeah, if you are inspired, go love the YouTube page or like it or subscribe, because I think when we have 1,000 subscribers, we can then go live from YouTube as well. We love we honor we thank we. Blessings, love, and aloha.